Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's video we will learn how to build n8n automation that summarizes any YouTube video in the format like this, with the chapter summaries and clickable links to each chapter. If you are not familiar with n8n, don't worry, we'll go slow and step by step, so at the end of this video you'll be able to do it yourself. Everything that you need to achieve it, you will need n8n account. It can be local setup or in cloud. You will need OpenAI API key, Gmail account, or any other email, so you could receive the summary, and then Rapid API key, and I'll show specific APIs that we'll be using for this purpose. Great. This is the workflow at the end. And we'll go, as I mentioned, step by step. And the only thing that I need to show before we'll jump into building the workflow is the actual credentials. So if you go to the credentials, you'll need to add the credential. First of all, please do add the OpenAI API key. Without it, you won't be able to do anything probably. I'm not saying that you need to do it only with OpenAI. If you want to use Anthropic or Gemini, that will work as well. But in this video, we'll be using OpenAI. With that, let's go and let's build it step by step together. First, we'll add the chat trigger. We'll be sending the YouTube URL to the chat right here. And actually, let me clean it up. Next step, after we get the URL from the input, we'll need to get the transcripts of this API. And for this, we will need to make HTTP request. Great. Now, HTTP request to what service? You're probably asking, and that's the absolutely right question to ask. You can build it yourself. You can write the code to get the transcript from YouTube. For the simplicity, I will be using this video transcript scraper from Rapid API. You can read the documentation. It's pretty straightforward. It accepts the video URL, which we already have, and then it will send as a response transcript and all the other summary of the video. For us, what's important, it has the timestamps, which we'll be using after that. And as you can see, we can copy the endpoint, and let's do it. So it accepts post. It will copy the URL. We'll need the authentication. We'll choose generic credential type, and we'll select header auth. I already have the credential defined, but you can create a new one. One important piece that you will need to specify X Rapid API key as a header key, and then value will be your API key that you'll get from Rapid API. If you're stuck on any step of the flow, please let us know in the comments under the video, and I'll reach out and try to help in order to unblock you. We also need to send the header, and the header will be content type to specify that we'll be sending the application JSON, and we will send the body also JSON, and then the parameter that Rapid API accepts, video URL. Now the value, if you remember what we said, that we'll be sending it into the chat. So how to get it and send it in HTTP request? In n8n, we can specify like that, 2 brackets and then JSON, and then we'll specify chat input. Well, actually, so we could demonstrate it a bit better. let's actually go grab the URL. So I already have the test version ready. So we'll take the YouTube URL. It's Huberman podcast video, and we'll send it in the chat. As you can see, the flow starts working, and we actually see some response, which is great. But I wanted to explain what this means. Once we send the YouTube URL into the chat, we have this input available for this node. So when I say the JSON, it means that we access the input of this node, and then I select chat input, that is our YouTube URL, and it will take it. It will form the request. It will send it to our URL, which we specified above. And as you can see, it got the response from the API, and we have the transcript of this video ready. This is great, but now you can see that it's very small chunks of text, which probably with the average length of 5 to 6 seconds or something like that. So we'll need to combine it in order to be able to effectively summarize it later. So next we'll be adding the code node, and we'll be copy and pasting some of the code that I prepared beforehand. If you don't know how to code, please don't worry. First of all, you can ask ChatGPT or any other AI to write the code like that. Moreover, you can play around with it and even achieve the same result without writing code. But for the purpose of this demo and just video, we'll be using the code, and I'll explain what actually it does. As a result, we'll get the JSON with the timestamp of the chunk, timestamp of a specific chunk, and then the text of the combined chunk. So let's actually test it out. As you can see, it essentially groups all these chunks that is like 5 seconds length, or like 7 seconds length, into the chunks with 5 minutes length approximately. So it's a bigger chunk of text that we'll be able to use and send it to OpenAI for the transcription. Now let's add OpenAI node, and when you select OpenAI, you will need to select specific actions. So we will need message model. We already can see the input to the node on the left, and now we'll need to connect to our credentials. I already have mine. You can create yours. A resource will be text. Message model will be using 4.0 mini. You can actually experiment with multiple models and see which one works the best for you, for your specific use case. For ours, we'll be using O-mini. But again, tell me which ones work the best for you in this specific use case. I'll be copy and pasting some of the prompts. So first message will be actually doing system, telling the OpenAI that you're a summarized assistant, you summarize small transcript segments. As an example, we also add the user message, which we'll go through in a bit more details in a moment. Let me copy and paste it. Great. Let's see. Summarize the following transcript segment into short, concise paragraph. We have several partial summaries, each formatted like timestamp and summary text, like that. You will be getting the chunk text. By the way, we'll need to select expression in a moment. This view explains it much better. We'll take JSON chunk text. This is the input to the current node, the one that we return from our code node. And we combine them into a cohesive chronological summary. For each summary, you should return a link to the timestamp and summary line in order, and output them one after another, each on a new line. And we'll be able to test it in a second. We'll simplify output. It will just clean up some of the JSON fields. Let's test. It executes. It actually shouldn't take that long. Sometimes I notice that when using ANA10, it slows down for some reason, but gets the result. And as you can see, we have the content, which starts at 0. It summarizes it to some text, and then it does the same thing for the next chunk, and then the next one, and the next one. Next, we'll be adding one more code node, and we'll be pasting some of the node. So on the left, you can see the input to the current code. Obviously, our interest is with content, and it very simple piece of code that essentially summarizes into one array object with partial summaries, and it's essentially the array of all summaries from each chunk. Next, we'll be adding one more OpenAI node, and will be a messaging model. Again, we'll be choosing 4.0 mini, and then we'll be doing the user prompt. I'll get back to it in a second. We'll do swap it, and then we'll do system prompt, copy and paste it in a sec. Great. Let's edit the prompt, the user prompt here. So there are a couple of important pieces. So in the first part, we just say that please summarize like partial summaries, each in a specific format with a link to YouTube. We provide the example like with video ID and timestamp. Keep the same summary text as you got. Great. And then here we need to actually provide the link to a specific YouTube video. So OpenAI could format it properly. We take the WhatChat message received. On the left, you can see that this is the name of the first node, essentially. And then we take item dot, actually, let's see. Actually, we need to take last input, JSON, and then chat input. And as you can see, we'll see the video URL here with the specific timestamp. And we also provide the partial summaries that we got from the previous code node. Great. And then we specify user, simplify the output as in previous node, and we'll test it out. And we'll see the result in a moment. It was actually pretty quick. We got the response from OpenAI. Amazing. Now the last step that we need to add to this workflow is actually sending the result to our Gmail. Feel free to experiment not only with the email, but feel free to add it as a Telegram or WhatsApp, whatever you prefer. So we'll be sending a message. I already connected the Gmail account. We'll do message, we'll do send to, in our case, it will be aiagentstate@gmail.com, and subject will be your summary is ready. Email type will be HTML, and for the message, we'll be saying so we'll take the message from the previous output, we'll do the content, but then we'll replace /n, which is the new line, and we'll replace it with the HTML tag. And that's essentially it. We'll test it out, see that it executes. Seems like it does. Okay, it's time to test the whole workflow end to end. I selected another Huberman Lab video. It's a different one. We'll send it in our chat, and we can see that it started executing the whole flow one by one. Send the HTTP request, executed the first code node, and then it takes time to summarize each chunk in our first OpenAI request. So we'll wait, and then it went through the second code node and now executes the final summarization. Once it's done, it should send us an email, and let's just wait for a couple more sec. We'll verify that the links work and the summary looks fine. Okay, it was done. Let's go to the email. Okay, we got a new one. Let's see. And this is the summary of this video.
Enjoy the things in life that you are pursuing.
And plays the video. Amazing. I encourage you to try and play around with different prompts, different maybe models, and also try to experiment with maybe not sending the Gmail, send it to Telegram or SMS, using different N8N nodes. To recap what we did, we started by adding a simple chat. We got the transcripts from the Rapid API. We combined the small chunks into larger chunks, approximately 5 minutes duration. And then we summarized each individual chunks. By the way, as you can see here, it says 7 items. That means that we had 7 items, individual items, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it summarized individual chunks, then send those 7 chunks into our code node. And the code 1 combine them into one single output, and we send it to OpenAI second time, and then we triggered the Gmail. If you're stuck in the process, please comment below. Also, if you want to automate some of the workflows and you would like to see the video about it, again, leave the comment and we'll see if we can do it. Thank you for watching.